Welcome to Center of Light. Hello, all my brothers and sisters. Astronauts prepare to launch for inner space. We're going inside. It's going to seem like outside because there's a whole lot of outside, but the inside is greater. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Any way the divine wants to show up in my experience, I invite it. In fact, I'll kick the door open. And so tonight, we have a guest with me by the name of Kevin Briggs. And the title of tonight's presentation interview is Spiritual Consciousness and the Connection to the E.T.s. It's all part of the thing that's going down now, y'all. It's going down. Look out and about and all around you. It's happening. Pinch yourself. It's real. It's all taking place. Probably surpasses any idea in its will. It will jump so far beyond how we, as spiritual people, think it's all going to go down. We can't even begin to imagine how this can of beans is going to open up and fire off. Again, everyone, welcome to Center of Light. I'm excited to see you in the very near future on Christmas night. Check this out. Wow. I've been doing this for the last few years in radio, and I'm going to continue to do the tradition. Let me change a little bit of that, this and that. Christmas night, I'm going to do a presentation on the life of Jesus transformed into the Christ consciousness, right? The picture you see on the left of the Shroud of Turin, look at it very carefully. Look at the picture to your right. The picture to your right, the story is a lady was in India seeing Satya Sai Baba, and she handed him a picture of what Jesus could have looked like. Sai Baba passes his hand over it. It manifests, it reforms itself into the picture you're looking at on your right. And not only did he tell the woman, it will match the Shroud of Turin exactly. This is exactly what Jesus, the man, looked like. So I'm going to be talking about, as well as this audio segment. It's about 45 minutes long. It's going to share where Jesus went all those missing years. We're also going to be talking about an experience I had with Sananda, Yeshua, many years ago when he released my consciousness from my body and brought me to the future. And I was hovering with him about 50 feet off of the ground. And I saw the human mass waking up. And this experience lasted for hours in the experience. But of course, when I'm sleeping, it probably lasted 30 seconds. But we're also going to be talking about what is Jesus's role actively today in this world that seems so chaotic. So chaotic. One final thing I'd like to share with you before I bring my guest on. I am now beginning to post. If you go look on Amazon, you can find the pre-orders to Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, 30 years of my life, into that little book. And it packs one hell of a punch. It's for many years of my awakening. If there were shortcuts, I found them. Point is, it's demonstrated in such a way that my life becomes the example of unfoldment, which makes it easier for others to follow step. Welcome to Center of Light. I want to share with you who my guest is and get this fine gentleman on. Tonight on Center of Light Radio, the title of the show is Spiritual Consciousness and the Connection to the E.T.s. And when we talk about E.T.s, I start having a whole bunch of fun. Kevin Briggs is my guest, is an author and specializes in consciousness and the connection to the E.T.s and UFOs. His recently published book is titled Spiritual Consciousness, A Personal Journey, and covers 56 years of his experiences of ET contact and UFO connection. Kevin speaks to many groups of UFO and ET enthusiasts. They are always eager to hear of his interactions. He always receives a warm reception. Kevin has written articles which have been published in The Truth magazine. His published book was also mentioned in Psychic News UK. in their editor's Good Read section. He has also written an article about his ET experiences, which has been published in the New York Observations magazine. Kevin has also appeared on local radio stations and recently filmed for a TV show called Unlocking Your Limitless Life by Susan Shatzer and produced by Robin C. Adams. Kevin was also a keynote speaker last September at the Miami Free Consciousness and Contact Experiencer conference hosted by the Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial and Extraordinary Experiences. I'm grabbing a bunch of links. These links are every bit as important as this radio broadcast. Everyone, please welcome my brand new friend and our cosmic brother. Hello, my friend. Hi, buddy. How are you today?
Hi, Keith. Thank you for inviting me on your show. I feel very honoured to be here and to be speaking with you. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I found you on YouTube. I somehow someone posted a link on social media, and I jumped seat on the link to YouTube, and there was this English chop just going at it. And I was just loving what you had to say, and I contacted you, and you said yes immediately, and now we sit here and we're going to have a metaphorical beer in a pub. How did you get into all this craziness, bro?
Well, it started when I was probably 3 years old. My mother engaged a photographer to take them some family photographs, and I was duly lifted up onto the table. And from that elevated position, I looked around and I realized I was conscious. I was conscious again in a physical body. And I remember telling my wife that story many, many years ago. And she said, 3-year-olds don't use words like consciousness. They don't understand it. Well, I did, and I do. And then that was the first recollection, as I say, being conscious again in another physical. So quite an interesting start. But after that, my next interaction would really be when I was 8 years old. I was having a weekly bath, which we did in those days. Not quite sure how hygienic that was, but the rest of the time we were sponged down with a flannel and a wet sponge or whatever. But I was having this weekly bath. There was a change in the vibrational frequency in the room, and two beings appeared to the right-hand side of me. Both beings were very attractive. Both had long blonde shoulder-length hair, one male, one female. They were slightly elevated off the floor, about 8 to 12 inches. They were talking about me, not to me. And I do remember some of the conversation. I remember the female saying, is this the boy? And the male said, yes, it is. And then she questioned him again and said, are you sure this is the boy? He says, yes, this is the boy. She then questioned again and said, but look at him. He's small. He's uneducated. He's frightened by our presence. And she was correct. I was terrified, the fact that two beings were in my bathroom. And he said, this is the boy. I will guide him. I will teach him. And there was some more conversation after that. And then they disappeared. She was correct. I was terrified. I was so went cold. I was shivering. My mother came to see why I was still in the bath. I explained about the two beings, and she said it was just my imagination. But that was the start of my journey, which continues to this day.
What do you say to something like that? I mean, I can hear your honesty, your conviction, the fact that this is so part of what happened to you. It's not that I need convincing. I've had my share of playing with other people on craft, Kevin. They never appeared to me physically as they have with you. But when I go into Dreamscape, it's on. It's on like an amusement park. But I have met one physically, but not in the form of their own appearance. This person, this energy worked through a human woman, was a male energy, 7 foot tall, 6 digits on each hand and foot. Is the head of security, listen to this, head of security in this quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy, and I've friended him for 4 years. We're still friends. He just moved to Egypt. And some of the things he would do to, through, in front of me, it's just beyond comparison. But I had the buffer of what he looked like as a human. So please continue. Where did this leave off from this initial experience, and how did this move further into your life to where we are now, sir?
Well, it's a long story, Keith, but my next interaction with them, I was 9 years old. I had some friends around the home and we were playing one Sunday afternoon. It got to the evening time and they were leaving. I showed them out the back door, and when I turned round, I could feel a vibrational frequency in the house. I knew there was someone there. I wasn't quite sure who it was, but that wasn't unusual for me as a child. I was sensitive to the higher vibrational frequencies. So I searched around the house to look for this person, this entity, whoever it was. I went upstairs, I went back down into the kitchen. I then went into the living room where the energy was the strongest. I looked behind the curtains, or the drapes as we say here now, and there was an orange orb. It was 4 to 6 inches across, slightly vibrating. There was no communication with the orb, but it stayed there for a whole week. I was a bit perturbed by it because I thought if I'd invited it into the home, and if it was my mother saw it, I would be chastised. Anyway, the orb remained until the following Friday, all week. I came home from school. On the Friday, I opened the back door and I realised the orb had left, much to my surprise, really. But I was very pleased that it had gone. But anyway, I noticed after that, as I said, there was no interaction with it. But after that, my psychic abilities were enhanced no end, to the point where I could actually separate my consciousness from my physical and actually travel outside my body as pure conscious energy. And at that time, as a child, I would just use that ability to go and visit my grandparents, usually at a weekend. They lived about 70 miles away in Liverpool, and I would just separate my consciousness, fly over to their home. I would go upstairs, usually in the master bedroom. There was a dressing room. I would sit in that dressing room. I would look down through the floor, which was opaque, and then I would watch my grandmother, usually in the kitchen, cooking on a Sunday, and my grandfather watching the TV or reading the newspaper. And I often wondered then, what would they see if they came upstairs and went into the dressing room? I now know the answer to that. They would see a round, orangey, yellowy orb, 4 to 6 inches across, slightly vibrating. That would be my pure conscious energy separated from my physical. So that was the next stage.
Kevin, would you call this an out-of-body experience or astral projection?
Yeah, yes, one of both really, possibly astral projection and out of body. I really saw it as out of body rather than a projection. I think I have been on the astral plane. I can do astral projections as well. I think that was part of the abilities that they gave me or activated in me. I think we all have these abilities. We're just not taught how to use them. So, but on these occasions, I would say out of body travel.
Your experience with these, let's just call them others. I definitely don't like the word aliens. It's kind of it's a hard slang. I don't like it. Others, extraterrestrials, our friends, our brothers, sisters, those other people. Have you been aboard craft?
I've only been, to my knowledge, on 2 craft. One, I'll tell you the first one quickly. I was actually traveling on the astral plane. I'd been out of body traveling, and I was coming back to my body. And I don't know how materialized or what, but I landed on a small craft, which was a transporter, and it was transporting minerals from the Earth to the moon. It was being flown by 2 small grey E.T.s. They both looked around at me and said to one another telepathically, "What's he doing here?" I then realized I shouldn't be there. And I said, "Oh, I apologize for being there." And I said, I will have to go now, I'm leaving. And I left. I went back home, I went into my body, and as I entered my body, again, there was a change in the vibrational frequency in the room, and a small grey appeared there, quite a medium-sized grey, I would say. He had quite a large head, and he actually warned me about interfering, and I shouldn't be traveling in those areas. So I took the warning and heeded it. And obviously it was an accident. I just dropped in there accidentally, but the look on the two small greys' faces was absolutely amazing.
I can imagine. I've been aboard many craft. I've been aboard many craft. I have experiences pre-boarding the craft. I would be outside at night. This is in the dreamscape, and I'm looking at the sky, the clouds in the sky are forming letters for all the world to see. So everybody's reading the sky like it's this message, and it opens up, and I get inside of a rock that's on the ground. The rock takes me through this whatever, and I board this craft. And aboard these craft often are humans. They say that humans occupy local space like crazy. But when I get aboard these craft, they usually impart knowledge to me, wisdom to me, information to me, even if it's simply just to hang out. Just to say, hi, hey Keith, we're in the area, we've chimed in, you were cool, we decided to pick you up, take you for a ride. But I've never been violated. I've never been violated ever in my life. When I was 8 years old, I would wake up in the middle of my backyard at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I'm an 8-year-old kid. I had a fear of dogs, boogeymen. I was raised Catholic, so the demons and the devil. There's no reason I want to hang out in the backyard at 3 in the morning. But often, my bro, I would find myself come to a state of consciousness, and I would have to put up a cinder block so I could be tall enough, because I'm a runt already, to be tall enough to lunge myself back into my bedroom window. And everything felt natural. Nothing felt out of place. It was just like a normal occurrence. And this is the part, Keith, where you stand on the brick and get back in your room and just go back to bed.
That's an amazing story. I think how we accept these things, especially when they start when you're a child. You grow up with them. They're part of who you are. It's part of your life. I know I had one other experience where I was on a craft that I remember. I was actually 14 then, and I had a paper round. And every time did a paper round, I'd come out to the house and a UFO would appear. It would follow me for a short period of time, and then a second UFO would always appear, and the two would follow me around the paper round. I was always aware of some beings, again, the vibrational frequency, and I suspected that they were following me, and I think they were. In fact, on one occasion, I said to them, I know you're there. Can you show yourself? What do you want? And two small greys came from around the hedge and introduced themselves. And they said there was a group of people that wanted to meet with me. Would I go with them? And I said, well, I've got my paper round to finish. I have to go to school, so I need to be back for that. If you let me finish my paper round, then I will come with you. I finished the paper round. I'd nearly finished anyway. I went with them. We went to a craft. It was a very large craft, a mothership, and I only know that because of the size of it. When we pulled into the hangar area, there were quite a large amount of very large ships within that hangar. There was a small grey there who waved to me, and I waved back, being polite. And I now know who he is. His name is Tia. He's a pilot and a technician, and I've met him since then. And I was then taken into a large amphitheatre, and we walked down to the front. And on the stage in the amphitheatre were 8 beings. And I thought I'd been taken there just to be paraded in front of this group as a small human boy. And I was introduced to the 8 from one end to the other. And then I did feel a little bit uncomfortable at one point when they introduced me to a mantis. His name was Chica. And I was a little bit perturbed by him. And one of the other beings, Anna, she came and put her arm around me. She's a healer. She was an empathic. And after the introduction, obviously, I asked why I was there. And the reason being they wanted to meet me. And I thought that was surprising. But anyway, after the introductions, I left. After the introductions, I left. And I now realize that the 8 being sat at the front were a council of 8, a council of 8 ambassadors representing this quadrant of the galaxy. And all the other people in the amphitheatre that were there in attendance were the delegates. I thought they were just there to see this small human boy. But I was actually introduced to this galactic council, shall we say, at the age of 14. And I've been in contact with all 8 and still in contact with them today.
Fantastic. It's great to connect with someone who has had such a rich experience or time with these people. What's happening now? What are they imparting to you through all those years? What's the message? What gets you where you are now? As to be, I would say you're a teacher, yeah, because you definitely have some very concrete experiences. What is some of the things they have shared with you that would be helpful for all of us to know, as with your time with these others?
Right. Well, the main thread of the education has been one of consciousness itself. One of shared consciousness, how we are all connected by consciousness itself. Not only the extraterrestrials, if you want to call them that, the higher conscious beings, but the plants, the trees, the animals, the earth itself. And we are all just one big family. And when we realize that we are one big family and we share that one consciousness, it will help us to evolve to our next level. And understanding, and hopefully be kinder to one another, kinder to the planet, and have a better lifestyle for our human species.
Kevin, did you feel that when you were aboard, I wouldn't say just necessarily aboard the craft, when you were having these experiences, though you was a little freaky, a little frightened, there's some strange people in front of me. Did some part of that experience feel familiar to you, as if you've done such a thing for God knows how many eons, just being connected to the cosmos in such a way that things become galactic and really operating on that kind of level? So was there familiarity at all to you, sir?
No, I don't think so. I had an interest in the sciences. I had an interest in the earth and space and the cosmos when I was a child. But I don't think that was anything unusual. Many children had these interests. And without them coming and sharing their knowledge of this consciousness, this thread of consciousness, and how it's linked through the sciences that we have, then I would just be like everybody else. But because they've given me that information, and I think now I have to share that with others because it does enhance your life. And as I say, we are on the edge now of seeing these beings. They're wanting to meet with our government's representatives at our United Nations. And once they are allowed to do that, then we will grow exponentially in relation to our relation to both the E.T.s, to consciousness itself, to the earth, and who we really are, and take our real place within the universe, which is conscious itself.
Kevin, when you described that you were having these interactions, you did mention that you met in the proximity of a mantis. I'm sure that ain't fun. You may have named another one, but I did hear you mention that there was a gray involved. The grays, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So is this the predominant species that you've been seeing most of your life? And if so, I've heard a lot of things about the grays. You see, my alien human hybrid friend I told you about, he was part gray and part human. But are you speaking about the little grays where there's some tall ones? Because there's supposedly the little grays are the little mean son of a guns. And the tall grays are supposedly the okay ones. Or did you just get did you happen to get a batch of the good little grays? What was that particular species that you hung out with?
I like that description, Keith. That's very good as that. If I tell you who they are, the eight beings, they're Ort and D. They are Arcturian. They're the two that materialized in my bathroom. They're just like me and you, but they live in the fifth dimension. They tell me that I'm part of their extended family, only that I live in the third dimension. And I say they're very attractive, and they are guides and teachers. That's what they do. And then there's Anna. She's the blue avian that I mentioned, who recognized that I was slightly frightened when I met the group, and she came and put her arm around me. And then there's Zark. He is a small grey. He's a mathematician. He's an engineer. He designs propulsion systems. He has 3 offspring. I don't know their names, but I know, and I don't know whether they will call them children or what, but I call them offsprings because I can identify with that. And then the leader of the group is called Ra, and he's a Anunnaki. He's very old. He has tremendous energy when I speak with him. And then there's Targ. He's a tall grey. He's responsible for the security in this quadrant of the galaxy and responsible for the security of the Council of Eight themselves. And then there's Chica that I mentioned. He's a mantis. I don't know a great deal about him other than I know he doesn't have a sense of humor, because I did say to him once, are you an entomologist? And he gave me that look that your mother gives you when you've done something wrong as a child. So, but I think he was an astrophysicist. I would have to check my notes, because I write these things down when I have these contacts, because I cannot remember. There's so much of it now. And then the last one will be Orla, and I think she's an astrobiologist. She's a tall white. So those are the 8 different species. Well, not all different species, but the 8 different beings of part of that council of our ambassadors of 8.
I heard you say something that was very likened to what I said a minute ago, and I wonder if differently we are speaking about the same being, or what galaxy were you referring to when you said the gray was head of security for a quadrant? Because that's what my friend Nucleus 8 is. He's head of security in this quadrant of our galaxy. 8. His name is Nucleus 8 because he was grown Nucleus with the purpose for security. He's 8 on a board of 12. He literally goes around the galaxy policing it. They help stars to be born. They do all kinds of these cosmic galactic things as a team would. What galaxy would you say that you had mentioned your particular contact was with? Was it this part of the galaxy, another galaxy, what?
Okay, well, they tell me they're from different parts, from the Pleiades, from Sirius, from Orion. I can't remember the other one at the moment. But I do know that the Greys were from the Pleiades. And it was quite interesting at the beginning of your show, you mentioned about your galactic friend being responsible for the security. And immediately I identified with Targ, because that's what he does. And as I'm sure you're aware, they can show any face, any physical they want to do. They will communicate with you in a way that you're comfortable with. So yes, it's very probably the same being. Very probably. I will have to ask him. As I say, they always show me the same faces with the same 8. So I've got used to them over the years, and I'm very comfortable with them.
And if they're not the same being, you can bet they know each other's phone number. And my friend Nucleus, he says he can monitor 6 dimensions simultaneously.
Right, okay.
In fact, many years ago, when world news, this just in, our government used the Star Wars system and fired a shot into space. And Nucleus contacted me. He says, Keith, I'm going to make the news tomorrow. Watch. And sure enough, they fired the laser weapon at him, because Star Wars, maybe you can help me with this, bro, is not all that it seems, or was led us to believe what it is. It was, a lot of it was used to stop gamma ray burst emissions, so that when these extraterrestrials come into this planet through via a wormhole or whatever, however they get it, there's a radiation burst, and the target locks on, and they shoot a laser at it to destroy it. And Nucleus says, I'm going to be on TV tomorrow. So having such an awareness capacity, 6 different dimensions simultaneously, and if they are both heads of security in our best interest, they have to know each other. What do they want with us, my bro? What do you think, and from your experience, what do you think these others, why are they so interested in the human being?
Well, they want to help us. They realize that we are polluting the planet. They realize the planet is dying, and if the planet dies, then we die along with the planet. They don't want that. They want to help us. They have been helping us probably for thousands of years, probably. So they want to help us reach the next stage of our evolution. And to do that, they have to interact with us openly. They're prepared to share their technologies with us. They're prepared to share their knowledge with us. They are particularly concerned about the nuclear weapons we have, our nuclear industry with the power plants. They see all these as a danger to the planet. I know they're particularly concerned about the pollution from Fukushima, and they inform me that they have technologies that can neutralize that radiation. I know we have the large explosion in Russia many years ago at Chernobyl. And my understanding is a craft was seen over the Chernobyl explosion and neutralized 75% of the radiation at that time. So the reason why they are here, to help us develop, help us evolve, and help us to sustain our planet so we can live here comfortably without polluting it and without making ourselves extinct. And I'm sure we're on that road if we don't accept help from these higher conscious beings.
You know, that's nice and that's warm and fuzzy that they really care about us. You know, what does it say on the movie Contact? You know, why would we go out of our way to Africa and stomp on some ants? And then James Wood says, well, how horrible would you feel about going to Africa and stomping on some ants? So the point is, it's awesome that they want to help. Do they have an investment in the human being? What is it they're here for? I mean, I understand they want to help, and we are a galactic family, and that's awesome that they're coming to us and saying, "Hey guys, you know, we're here to help you wake up." But do you think that our evolution somehow in their watching helps them? I heard the human being is the highest apex of creation, so everybody wants a piece of that action. What do you think?
I think that because of their understanding of consciousness, and we are all one, consciousness grows because we grow, and they want us to help us with that. I think they have had some hand in our development, in our evolution over the years, and we may well be an experiment. I don't know. Well, I've not discussed that with them. Their information they've given me is fairly basic, really, about consciousness itself, about the interaction with consciousness and the whole of the universe. And it's really, I think that if we are that experiment, and I have no knowledge of that, they haven't explained that to me, I just suspect that myself, then they want their experiment to grow. They want us to grow. They want us to develop into the next stage. And when we do that, we expand consciousness itself. And consciousness is a true life form in the universe. So it helps the universe to grow. It helps us all to grow. And we can regain that place in the cosmic society where we need to be.
Having these experiences as long as you have, sir, do you still feel it? Find yourself feeling a little wonky when something's about to go down, or you're so used to it that you're, little puppy dog tail wagging in the window, you're really excited? I mean, is that still nervousness there? Is it still making itself present? I mean, it's always something new, I'm sure.
Yes, it's always something new. In fact, I've just asked this week they give me new information on a fairly regular basis. And each time I get the information, it expands my knowledge. But this time I have asked them for something. I've asked them to show a Mars sighting on the 12th of December in North Carolina. And I've done that on purpose as a precursor to the reveal, which they tell me they want to do in February the 1st, 2020, over the UN in New York. So I thought, well, although I've asked to see craft in the past and they've shown me a single craft, on one occasion 7 craft, on one occasion I asked them to show a craft for a friend of mine who was a total skeptic. It was my wife and his wife and him sat by my pool, and the craft appeared immediately. Needless to say, he's no longer a skeptic. But I haven't asked them to show. I haven't asked them to show a future date of a craft, and I haven't asked them to show a mass sighting. So I've done this now, and hopefully they said they will do this. So hopefully, once we get that mass sighting on the 12th of December, and I didn't realise when I asked for that date, that is a full moon date. And the full moon, cold moon date is December the 12th at 12 minutes after 12. And I've asked for this to happen on the 12th before I even knew of that. But I only learnt it yesterday. So it'll be very interesting. But if they do show a mass sighting over North Carolina on that day, then it will validate my communication with them. Because, as I'm sure you are aware, Keith, many people like you and myself are thought of as delusional, maybe, by the general population. If
We are. We are.
Contact.
And so I tell you what, not if, I have no doubt, if when this goes down for you on the 12th, your life won't be the same. If you predicted this and it's documented, and this goes down, and someone says, "This cat said this," you're going to be a busy man.
There are many of us, Keith. It's not just me. As an individual, I'm unimportant. There's a whole group of people. I call myself an experiencer now. There are many experiencers like myself. I've been contacted by them. We are interacting with one another, and we are working towards now a post-reveal of a new civilization that we will have, an exo-conscious civilization. And as I say, there are many. I'm the one that's been speaking out boldly now because I was asked to. And the only reason I am doing this is because 3 years ago, I had got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I think it's an old man thing. But I got up there, go to the bathroom. I came back. I was about to snuggle down into bed, and a bright light came through the window. And then the whole room lit up like a myriad of butterflies. And then Orton D materialized at the bottom of the bed. As I say, I'm used to seeing them, used to interacting with them. I asked what was the reason for their visit after the pleasantries, and they said, "Kevin, we want you to talk about your interactions with us, your lifelong interactions. In fact, we want you to write a book. You will write 2 books, Kevin." And I said, "Well, I don't mind talking about my interactions, but I'm not a writer." They said, "Well, we will continue to guide you. We will continue to teach you, and we will give you information to include in the book," which they did. I had the book published last year in May, and I've been speaking out about my interactions with them. And I'm surprised at the interest, very surprised. And I'm surprised that the infrastructure is already there for this transition, because they've been doing this for many years with others. And I've been contacted now. In fact, I was contacted by a Terry Lovelace just recently. He's an experiencer like myself. He was 4 years old when his interaction started. He's just written a book, The Incident at Devil's Den. He now talks openly about his experiences. And Terry's a retired assistant attorney general, so quite high up in our legal system. He's now talking out about it, and he's phoned me this week and given me confirmation of the date of February the 1st, 2020 in New York. His own guides have given him this date as well. So we now have 2 independent people given the same date. So we are working towards that. And I say there are many groups that have been working towards this. There are thousands of people. But the fact that we are speaking out many years ago, we weren't able to do this. But if they had not have asked me to do this, I would have just gone to my grave nice and peacefully and moved on to my next incarnation. But I think it's a little bit paying back a little bit for all the information and help they've given me.
How long are the intervals in between experiences? When's the last one? Is it a couple times a month, once a month, maybe 3, 4, 5 months? How does that work for you, sir?
Well, at the moment, I'm quite busy with the information they keep giving me. They keep asking me to do more things, to contact more people. So I do that. I'm open to doing that. Over the years, from sort of 15, I had a couple of examples when I was 32. When I was 16, 17, 18, I I knew there was more information, and I asked my friends. I said that I did it in a third party. I said, I know someone that says he can travel outside his body and separate his consciousness from his physical, and he travels all over. Do you know anybody that does that? And they all say, no, 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 he must be exaggerating. So then on that particular occasion, I was, say, about 17 probably, I went to bed one evening, I asked Art, and I said, I know there's more information here. Can you give me more information? And he came, he took hold of my hand, and we left. I looked down, I saw my body, and we left out through the bedroom window. We were 3 stories up. We flew around the subdivision and then back into my apartment, and I looked down, I saw my body asleep. I went back into my body. I woke up the following morning and thought, well, that was cool, but was I dreaming? So the following evening, I did the same again. I relaxed, I opened my mind, I held my hand out, and I asked Art to come and show me some more. He came, he took hold of my hand, I looked down, I could see my body asleep. We went out through the window again. We flew down into Leeds city centre. I recognised the buildings, the university where I worked at the time, the hospital, the town hall. We then flew back up to my apartment through the window. I looked down, saw my body asleep, went back into my body. The third night, I still wasn't certain whether I was dreaming, whether I was sleepwalking. So I thought I will try it again. So that evening, I tried again. I relaxed. I opened my mind. I asked Art to come and show me some more. He came and we flew further. We went out through past the city and went much further and came back. But I realised then that I was used to travelling on my own outside my body, but to do it with a guide was tremendous, really. And he continued to show me how you could travel just using consciousness. And consciousness can be used for travel, for communication, for creation itself. And on one occasion, Art came to me and he said, Kevin, I'm going to take somewhere special this evening. Are you prepared to go with me? I said, yes, I'm prepared to go anywhere. So we duly left. We didn't go through the window this time, though. We went through the roof, and we went up and up and up. And I could see the earth getting smaller and smaller, just a blue speck in the distance. And then we went, what I now know to be, we went into a higher dimension. And in that dimension, there was a line of 30 people there. At the front of the line stood my father. He was 6 feet tall. I'd never seen him standing. He was always in a wheelchair from when I was a child. He greeted me. The feeling of love from the whole group was tremendous. And he said, Kevin Ivor, we have 30 members of our family here. We're all going to meet with you. And I'll say this feeling of love was tremendous. So I was then introduced to the first 15, and the first 15 all had a physical. We interacted. And then the second 15 didn't have a physical. They just had pure conscious energy. They were orange, yellow in colour, an orb slightly vibrating. But I could still communicate with them. And they showed me their past physical. So we interacted like that. And then I did that on many occasions with Art. And then I got so comfortable with doing that, I would do it on my own. And I did that for a couple of years, travelling and meeting with them. And that's why I realise now that, our physical dies, but our consciousness continues to live on, and we can use it to travel and meet with our what we call deceased family and friends, when really they're not deceased. They've just gone back to that higher level of consciousness. So a great lesson to be taught with the evidence to substantiate it. But after a couple of years of visiting them, I was finding it more and more difficult to get back into my body. So I decided one day at work I would go and visit them for a last time and let them know I won't be coming back to see them again. So I did that on that particular evening, and I haven't been back to see them since. But I know they're there. I know when my physical dies, I will go and meet them. That feeling of love will still be there, because that's where we interconnect with our families, our higher conscious beings.
Do I dare ask? Did they impart to you any glimpse of our most likely future as a race, of what's happening today, what's likely going to happen, how that's going to go down? I mean, any of those bones or nuggets you can throw out to us? To me, at least.
Okay, they haven't shown me any specific future or any specific future events. Uh, However, I do know that they have informed me that they will not um, interact with us unless obviously they're invited. And to do that, we need a mandate protocol implemented at the UN. And there are many people working on that. However, they do tell me the only time they will intervene is if we start a nuclear war. Then they will not allow that to happen. They will intervene. They have told me we have reached this level of technology in the past and we destroyed ourselves. And then we started again. This was many thousands of years ago. And so they don't want that to happen again. And that's the only time they will intervene. But they haven't showed me the future, not at this moment in time anyway. I was in New York recently on a short vacation, and I had read a post by a Dr. Joseph Burks about experiences who've had a dream about many craft appearing globally over the major cities. I've had that dream 3 times myself. I put my phone down, having read the post, and then I looked out of the window, and we looked over Central Park between 2 skyscrapers. I could see the tops of the trees. 15 UFOs appeared over the tops of the trees. They formed a pattern, they disappeared, and then reformed another pattern. I see this as a precursor to the reveal. So they have probably shown me a future event, but it's only up to February the 1st, 2020, nothing beyond that. And they have tried this in the past. They tried it in 2010 with another guy called Stanley Fulham, and there was some success, but not the total reveal that they are wanting, that they are requesting.
Yeah, I understand the idea that they won't intervene. And, you know, like Lincoln says in the chat room, he says, maybe the future isn't written, it's created. Exactly. But there are things that people of a higher vibration, higher consciousness, at least where they platform from, can see things a little different than we. Because it's like if you watch a school of fish or a school of birds, what are those birds that all fly together? Whatever they are, you know,
Starlings.
starlings. And so these, you know, just simple as fish and starlings, they're seen on micro levels, or they're working because there's an oversoul that's moving and functioning through the individual parts. So some of these beings of higher consciousness have this kind of capacity to say that it's very likely tomorrow you're going to go eat oatmeal at 10 o'clock. They see a larger spectrum of possibility. So man, there's just so much. And, you know, I have these experiences often. I crave them. It's almost, in hindsight, I'm still working on my interactive game with them, Kevin. It's like, you know, when I'm in the experience, it's almost as it's fleeting that I come to a state of consciousness and realize I made a few maneuvers and asked a few questions, and I bring that back with me. But don't let it kid anyone out there. You know, when these things go down, there are, and I'm sure, Kevin, you would probably support this. When these things happen, they're, if they're not as conscious as they are right now, they're more conscious. Sometimes I feel so conscious there, I actually tell myself, oh my God, I have a body laying on the bed a gazillion light years down there. And I'm so hyper aware, and that the body on the bed becomes the dream. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm so lucid in this moment. How does it feel to you? Do you feel just completely present when this is going down?
I do agree with a lot you've said there, Keith, especially with the co-creation using consciousness itself. And we do live in a holographic universe which we co-create. We co-create with thought and consciousness, and we co-create with our other fellow beings. And the reveal, because we are talking about it, we are sharing that knowledge, we are raising that vibrational frequency, we are raising the consciousness itself. So we are co-creating the reveal. We are not just doing that with us as our own species, but with the shared consciousness with the E.T.s, the extraterrestrials, the higher conscious beings. So that's the power that we have to do that.
Do you, have you, does it work? Do you suggest people going into a state within themselves before they go to bed and say, look, if you're around me and you're a loving being of light, can you connect with me? Do you have a way that maybe they've imparted to you of how to connect with them, even if it's for a little bit at a time, that can graduate into a full-fledged relationship? Like you may have with some people that you're hanging around with, and I do as well, because a lot of these beings I've hung around with for many, many years. They take different guises, and I know them by the familiar vibration. However, I did get picked up one night by a group of beings. I didn't even know this race existed. And, and the commander of the entire production was a little girl. And they were called the Clarions. And so I get up in the morning, and it was so vivid. And I started doing my internet research, and there the Clarions appear. And this little girl was like, oh my God, this is a race of beings. Do you know how others ask me all the time, people ask me all the time, Kevin, how can we make contact? Because they hear stories like you and I, and they want to get on the train too. Do you have any way that you can share with them how they can make contact?
Yes, I could tell you how I do it. As I said, we can create our reality by thought and consciousness. So if you want to meet them, have that thought. And I always find a good time to do that is when you are relaxed, just before you go to bed or as you're falling asleep or whatever. And one of the modalities of contact is the dreamscape, as you've already mentioned. There are many modalities of contact. And then once you recognize those. But yes, if you haven't had any interaction yet and you want to do that, start by asking. We all have guides, whether we classify them as spirit guides or extraterrestrials or angels. They're all higher conscious beings. And we are higher conscious beings as well. We're just not aware of it. We've been kept dumbed down for so long that we're not aware of it. So yes, ask. That's the key thing. I had when I travel on the astral plane, again, I will relax. I look inward, and I continue to look inward until I see an opening like an eye. And then I change direction and I move through the eye. And what I'm doing there is raising my own vibrational frequency by opening my mind and allowing consciousness to enter. And then I use that consciousness to travel onto the astral plane. So people can try that as well. I had one lady tell me that she got to that stage, but was always frightened of going through the eye because she thought she would never come back. So I explained to her how I did it, and now she's successful and enjoying that astral travel using her own conscious or accessing consciousness. So yes, you can create your own reality, and you just need to ask. But I would say that you should always ask for protection as well. You just don't want to invite any spiritual beings, because as you've said earlier, there are some really bad beings out there, and you have to be careful not to attract them. So yeah, be aware of that if you're going to do it. But we all have these abilities. Just ask and try. I had an interesting thing happen to me a few weeks ago probably. I lost my wallet about 6 months ago, and there wasn't much in it. There was $8, my usual credit cards, and but the important thing in there was 4 photographs of my wife, and I'd had those photographs for about 30 odd years. I've collected them over the years, and I've always kept them in my wallet. Just those small photographs you take in the booths. And I was very disappointed that I'd lost those photographs. So one day I said to my group of ATT ambassadors, I said, look, you're all powerful. You can manifest anything because you have all those abilities. Can you manifest my wallet back for me? Can you manifest it back for me on my kitchen countertop now? Well, nothing happened, but I wasn't surprised about that. But then 2 days later, I was traveling over to Tampa to a meeting. And I normally go on the 50, the 275 down that way to Tampa. And I Googled it this time and it said that to go on the I-4. So I thought, I'll go on the I-4. I don't normally go that way because there's usually a lot of traffic. I went on the I-4, and as I got nearer to Tampa, there was a new sign. I hadn't seen it before, probably because I don't go that way. It said new toll lanes. So I thought, oh, I'll get my transponder out. So I reached into my center console and I felt a wallet there. Well, I mean, the traffic was so intense, I wasn't able to take it out and look at it at that moment in time. But I arrived at my destination, I parked up, and I opened the center console, pulled out the wallet. It was my wallet with the photographs in. Now, I'd searched that console many times. My wife had looked in that console for other things. The wallet wasn't there. It's a big wallet on only a small center console. So they manifested that back for me. Now, my question will be to them, and I haven't got the answer to this yet, is did they take the wallet in the first place? Was that another lesson they gave me? They were waiting for me to ask to manifest it back. So that's another lesson in relation to manifestation using thought and consciousness. I had the thought of asking them, they have the ability, or did I manifest it myself back? I don't know the answer to that yet, but it shows the world of consciousness that we live in and the reality that we create. And I'm sure there are many others that have done this. If you want to achieve something, the first thing you do is you have the thought first. If you say, I want to go to such and such a place, you have to think you want to go there first. So everything begins with a thought. That's where the creation starts. Does that make sense to you, Keith?
I'm just sitting here absorbing it like a sponge. I do want to offer something for the listening audience that Kevin had mentioned and I mentioned, and I think it's a very good thing to do. When you have an interest, if you have an interest to be to connect back to your galactic tribe consciously. When we mentioned you might want to be smart to surround yourself with light or do a ritual or ceremony that requires some protecting yourself. Don't put too much energy into that because you're actually causing the problem. So what we're saying is as you would treat any part of town, because I know some humans, I don't want to hang around. So when you go to a certain part of town, with the level of awareness and how you treat the situation and where it is that you are going to be trekking, you treat it with a certain degree of responsibility. That's all we're asking. Don't go into this experience and, or I would love to do that if I'm so scared that something's going to take me over. Nothing's going to take you over. You have the will. No one owns your soul but God. God owns your soul. So what we're saying is to buffer any trouble or possible situations that can arise. Just be an aware, centered human being. State your intentions, accept nothing less. Good to go. We'll send you off in a teleport system to the cosmos. I love it, bro. I love stargazing. I love everything. Look at the background. Look at the background of you and I. It's all cosmic, man. Everything's center of light. I'm a cosmic kind of guy. I live in the stars, literally. And I'm not saying I'm a star seed, and I may be all that, but I live in the stars. My head does not leave the galaxy. I'm constantly looking at Hubble, and so somewhere inside this vault or this meat suit somewhere is an Akashic record of me hanging out on a planet, probably like you and I, the Celestial Bar, having that beer in that pub.
I'm sure, yes.
So do they... Go ahead, Chris.
Now, I was going to say that very often I ask for confirmation when I receive information with all the different modalities of contact they use. And then sometimes I get confirmation without even asking for it. I remember one morning not so long ago, I thought I would see if I can contact the Council of Eight, the 8 ambassadors, and I was unsuccessful. But I contacted a small craft, and I mentioned earlier Tia, the small grey that I met when I was 14. And he was piloting the craft. He was transporting 5 or 6 greys from A to B. I didn't say exactly where he was going. I asked him what he was doing in this area, and he said, well, we were nearby, and we wanted to come and see where you lived. So we deviated from our flight path, and here we are. I said, oh, well, it's nice to speak to you again. Nice to see you. There was some other conversation. And then I said, we'll have to go because we've got to get back onto our flight plan. So they left. Nothing unusual for me. Quite normal. But then when we get up in the morning, my wife usually sits out and have a cup of tea, and I get up, I get a coffee, and then we both go and sit outside, drink a cup of tea and coffee, and relax for the morning. My wife usually gets up first, and anyway, when I went into the pool area to drink my coffee, my wife said that I'd missed a beautiful rainbow that morning, and I said, "Oh, did you get a photograph of it?" She said, "Yes." And at the back of the house, we have 5 acres, and the rainbow was from one fence in the ground all the way around to the other fence, a full 180-degree rainbow. And then she said, "But you won't guess what happened next." Well, what was that? She said, "Oh, a UFO appeared directly under the rainbow." So I said in excitement, "Did you get a photograph?" And she said, "Yes, I did." She said she was taking a photograph of the rainbow, and she just looked up over the iPad and then saw the craft, took the photograph, and that was it. It disappeared. But the thing was, when we looked at the time on the photograph, it was 8:30, the time when I was speaking to Tia while he was transporting the group of small greys. So I had got confirmation there that I am talking to Tia on this craft, and Sandy described the craft as a small metallic disc-like shape. But that was the confirmation without asking for it. And they do that all the time as well. It's quite amazing, really, that you truly understand that we are part of that higher consciousness ourselves.
Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard here, Center of Light Radio, speaking with my brand new friend, Mr. Kevin Briggs, and we're talking about consciousness, spiritual consciousness, and how this connects, supports the extras, our brothers and sisters, cosmic brothers and sisters, E.T.s, extraterrestrials. I don't want to call them aliens. It's kind of like, some of the slang we throw around here, it's just so perverted and bastardized, and it loses its deliciousness and the respect it actually deserves. Most people are afraid of the idea. Hold on till you see, people. It's coming. It's here now. But the greatest show on earth is about to start. Would you say so, Kevin, that the more we lean into this 2020 window, this doorway, billions of people are going to be focused on this event we call the second decade? 2020. 2020 is a numerical icon that the collective consciousness is using to say landmark.
Now you've mentioned dates, I can give you some. If we've got time, I can give you some information about synchronicities.
Yeah, let's do it.
When I've been given the information. When I was given the information for the reveal for the 1st of February in 2020, I was actually in bed. I was fast asleep. A craft appeared above the house. Normally, you would just hear a humming noise, or they're very quiet or totally quiet. On this occasion, it was so loud it woke me up. I looked at the clock. It was 1:11. And it was February the 1st this year, 2019. So they gave me the information in relation to the reveal date. And I asked them, what about the rest of the information, the time and the location? They said they will give me that later. So I then asked them, I repeated the message back to them, and I walked into my bathroom, and I asked them if that information was correct, can you turn that street light off? And the street light went off immediately. So that was confirmation for me. I'd got the synchronicity at the front end of the message, which was the February the 1st, 1:11 a.m., and then the confirmation at the back end when they turned the street light off immediately when I asked them to. So then I asked them when will they give me the rest of the information. They said they will give me that later. So in the morning, I was woken up at 7:45 a.m. by someone jumping on the bed twice physically. It woke me up. I thought it was one of my dogs. They gave me the second part of the message, which was I've got the location, the time and the date. So I've now got all three. I've got the location, the time and the date. I repeat the information back to them, and bearing in mind it's daylight, I said, if all this information is correct, can you turn the street light on? And the street light came on immediately. So that was confirmation again for that. So I'm very comfortable in information. And I've learned over the years when I'm given information to ask for confirmation. And then once you get used to doing that, and I still do that to this day, because it's important for me to be confident in the information that they are giving me. And I'm very confident in it because I've learned to ask for the confirmation. And they'll give me confirmation in different ways. They gave me a download once. I was sat by my pool, and they gave me a download about the quantum unified field theory, which I knew nothing about. And the information came to me. I mean, you sat there by your pool, just feel like I was just chilling. And this information comes into my head. And so I said, I remember what they said. They said, your scientists' understanding of the quantum unified field theory is correct, with the weak force, the strong force, the electromagnetic force, and the gravitational force. However, there's a fifth interaction, and that is consciousness itself. If your scientists include consciousness, they will have a better understanding of their own quantum unified field theory. So when I received that particular download, I asked them to, can you confirm this information has come from you, and it's not just my imagination. Bearing in mind, I didn't know anything about that theory at that moment in time. A craft appeared. So I went in to get my wife. My wife came out. A second craft appeared, a third, a fourth. 7 craft appeared in total. They flew silently over our head, not too high. Then they moved off at about an 80-degree angle and disappeared sequentially as they had appeared. So that was confirmation on that particular download. And then they gave me another download about the theory of everything. Again, I was just sat by my pool, relaxing, minding my own business, and they gave me this information about the theory of everything. And again, they said, your scientists' understanding of the theory of everything is correct. However, there's a measurement problem within that theory, and the measurement problem relates to space, time, and dimension. However, your scientists understand that there's non-locality, duality, entanglement, but the entanglement is the entanglement of consciousness itself. If they include consciousness C as a constant within their calculations, it will solve that measurement problem. And they said that they were correct with the non-locality, the duality, and the entanglement, but they had to include the entanglement of consciousness within that. They did go on to say that the non-locality and duality of consciousness itself explains how I'm able to travel outside of the body, how I'm able to communicate with them, how we're able to create things. So, and again, on that occasion, for confirmation, I asked them to show me a craft. A craft appeared immediately, and it flashed 1, 2, 3 times. That was confirmation for me for that particular download. So once you continue to do this, then you become confident in the information that you are given.
I'm looking for something, my friend. I'm looking for something from my book. Give me just 30 seconds, my friend.
Okay. I'll talk to myself then.
Talk to me, bro. Tell me some more about these delicious, glorious experiences you are having, my friend.
Well, I can tell you another one I had when I was 32.
Please.
When I met the lead counsel, the Ra. He's Anunnaki, as I think I said. He's a watcher. I was 32. I was working in England as a police officer then, and I'd come home from a quick changeover, a double shift, where we finish at 10 o'clock at night, and we start again at 5 in the morning, and come home the following afternoon at 2. And I'm usually very tired when I used to do those shifts. I would go to bed for a couple of hours until my wife came home. And on this occasion, a grey shadow person came. I'm used to seeing the shadow people. They're just another form of conscious being at a lower level of vibrational frequency, but they are conscious beings, and I'm used to seeing them. He beckoned me, which is unusual. They usually hide or dart behind furniture. They like to attract your attention and tease you. They think it's funny. But on this occasion, he looked directly at me and beckoned me. And I said, go away, I'm tired, come back later. And he walked out through the door. The door was closed, obviously, he just walked through it. He came back a couple of minutes later, beckoned me again. I said, no, leave me alone, I'm tired, come back later. and he went back out to the door. He came back a third time. And I thought, you're so persistent. What, you obviously want to show me something. I said, right, okay, I'll get up. So I got up, I didn't get dressed. I opened the bedroom door, and on the landing, there was a beam of light. And I described that beam of light as if you've ever watched Star Trek, when they transport people down to the planet. It was just like that from the ceiling to the floor. So I stepped in it. When I stepped in it, I had a feeling of euphoria, just total euphoria. And then this voice said to me, I am your father, you are your father's son. I didn't know what that meant at that time. I do now. But again, that feeling of euphoria, it was just tremendous. And then the beam, there's nothing else said. The beam disappeared from the ceiling to the floor equally and dissipated in my stomach area. I was so, what's the word I'm looking for? I was no longer tired, let's say that. So I didn't go back to bed. I got dressed. I took my dogs out for a walk. I went on with the day. But that was Ra. That was the lead council, the Anunnaki, who made direct contact with me. And he has made contact with me directly on several occasions now. And I'm aware of one other person that he's made direct contact with as well. I'm also aware of others that have had contact with the group of 8 ambassadors now. So they are communicating with others. And as a group, when we, I'm sure, get together and we all share our stories, we all get confirmation. So it's an amazing time. And you are correct. 2020 is going to be the year. Yeah. I did ask them what was special about February the 1st, 2020. And they said, Kevin, it's not, it's February the 2nd that is the significant date. And I said, why was that? And they said, because it would be the first dawn on a new humanity. Now, when you look at those figures you mentioned, synchronicity, that's 02/02/2020. I'm sure the numerologists that are listening to your show will be able to decipher that. But again, that's a synchronicity that seems to be a flow, a communication, a universal communication to guide us, to help us, to let us know we're on the right track.
Yeah, you and I must have separated at birth, literally. I love the energy, bro. I want to read something, and then we're going to have to close the show. But I want to get your thoughts. This is from my book, The Divine Principles. Shameless plug, I know. But it's more about the information and not the accolade of the book itself. And I want to get your thoughts on this, Kevin, see if this sounds like something you may have experienced as a form of vibration and information that you were receiving. You talked about, for a moment, you talked about the theory of everything, entanglement, quantum entanglement. One of our greatest minds in all of history belonged to Albert Einstein. His mission when he was on the earth was to present the theory of relativity to the world, a theory that prepares you for an even greater truth to come. Since that day is almost here now, because this was in 1996, I shall give you a new formula, an updated one that takes into consideration the shifting and the reshifting that has taken place since his original one was proffered. Einstein's formula said that nothing can go faster than the speed of light. This is in a channeling session I received all those years ago. The theory of relativity, E equals mc squared, where E equals energy, mass, m mass, c light. The new formula said there is something faster than light, and that something is thought. The difference between these two theories, this one states that slowly but surely linear time is depleting. The theory of reality. E equals mc pi over relativity pi over 4, where E, energy, lifting, M, mass, manifesting energy, C, light, omnipresent with no velocity. The pi over relativity correlates to the quickening now happening. Relativity correlates directly to people, all the relative personified spirits who use the primal force, thought, to create and define reality, whether it be through clarity, knowing, and intention, or with confusion, belief, opinions, and judgment. And finally, the pi over 4 represents the no time factor that diminishes the space between your thoughts and the manifestation of reality. The window between what you think and what happens. Now, here's where the 2020 comes in. It doesn't say 2020, but if we look at 2020, deduce it, it comes down to 4. The number 4 in this case is the numerical symbol that signifies the power of the whole that will move within you and permeate your emotional body as intense feeling, thus guaranteeing the manifestation of the self. Basically, to close this excerpt off, it's Spirit says, God, there's a form of God cosmosis taking place everywhere. Just everywhere. It's just this infinite unfold of divine play of consciousness, yeah?
I agree entirely. I smile when you're saying all that. I think it's fascinating that they've given you this equation. I don't understand it, but I feel your enthusiasm. I feel your vibration. I feel your energy when you say it. And I feel that when they've given me these smaller equations. So that's someday that equation may become very famous. We may base everything on that, I'm sure. A fantastic thing to be given. I was given a small equation for calculating the different dimension frequencies. Quite a simple equation, really. Well, small equation, not the large one like yours, but just for calculating the vibrational frequencies of the different dimensions. So I think they tend to do that with experiences. I'm not quite sure why, but they do give us these equations from time to time. But I would agree with you. Yes, I know that thought travels faster than light, and we can use thought, consciousness, as I've said before, for travel, for creation, for co-creation. We're not aware of that, but 2020 is going to be the year, and we will continue to evolve as a species, as a species within a larger conscious universe.
What's coming down the pike for you, sir? Work-wise, presentation-wise, do you have a little intuitive inkling about what the extras want?
I'm not certain yet. I move from day to day. I know I'm getting very busy. I'm putting the information out there that I've been given. I'm trying to. My name was nominated to go and speak at the UNSRC Enlightenment Society. That has gone to their executive board for a decision. If I'm allowed to speak there, then I have a message directly from the 8 ET ambassadors. That would be a huge step for me. I will have to wait and see. We're only a short period away now from the 1st of February 2020, but things are in motion, and I'm connecting with other groups, other individuals like yourself who are experiencers, who are helping me to get the message out there. And there are many of us, Keith, as you know, and we're all being connected now. So because we have an understanding of consciousness, co-creation, thought, and the fact that we ourselves belong to a group of higher conscious beings. So we are creating that, as you said earlier.
Nice to meet you, bro.
Nice to meet you, Keith. Kindred spirits, I'm sure. I'd like to thank you. I've enjoyed being on your show. It's always great to speak to other experiencers who have an understanding that you do. And it gives me personally confirmation, as I said before. And we need that as experiencers and by speaking with one another. So I thank you from my heart for allowing me on your show.
You're not crazy, because if you are, I'm crazy with you, bro.
I'm happy, not crazy. It doesn't matter.
Blessings to you and yours. Happy holidays to you, my friend.
Oh,
Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you term it, where you from. That means the most powerful, beautiful thing. I bless that on you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Always stay in touch. Keep me posted what you're doing. Yeah, you and I's brotherhood relationship ain't done yet.
Okay, that's good.
Everyone, I really enjoyed Kevin Briggs tonight. What a delight of a human creature he is. I love his honesty. I can see it. He oozes it. It's who he is. And we all are in the light. Why not become conscious of it? And ride that current all the way back to the source of consciousness. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard. I will be seeing you soon. Thursday night. I don't know who's going to be on my show. Brad Johnson. Wow. You don't want to miss this show. You don't want to miss this show. You don't want to miss this show. This guy is a serious conduit for spirit. I'm talking about channel. He's not just somewhat good at it. I love my life, and I love you in it. God bless you.